Hello and welcome to episode 199 of The Imperial Truth. My name's Greg. Joining me is Howard. Hello, Howard.
Hello, Greg. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, getting there. You?
Where are you getting?
I don't know. Closer
There.
to the grave,
There.
day
Oh,
by day.
whoa. That got bleak real fast.
Facts. Just life.
I mean,
Just
it
life.
is true. It is
As soon as we're born, we're dying.
the power of entropy, isn't it? Yeah. No, I'm doing all right actually. I'm feeling surprisingly fresh considering there are two little children in the house. But yeah, I've been getting some sleep and work's going all
Good.
right. And yeah, not feeling too bad. Feeling not doing as much hobby as I would like. What about yourself?
Oh, yeah, I'm the same, but without the sleep.
Yeah. You've given
And the
up on
work,
that.
and the work's not going too bad. But apart from that, no, it's just usual. But yeah, the sleep is if sound a bit croaky and throaty and like distracted at times tonight, it'll be the lack of sleep. But I would say partly self-inflicted, but probably a little bit more than partly. So I've only got myself to blame. I haven't
Yeah,
learned
it's
all
entirely
these
my case.
years of being on the planet. I still don't get enough sleep. But hey ho, could
Who
be
does?
worse, right? Indeed. Before we go anywhere else, Element Games. I've seen a few people using my Element code recently, which is
Nice.
quite cool. More people use the code than use the link. That's absolutely fine. Hopefully you're getting some usage on the codes as well.
What to
But
say,
if you,
because I didn't tend to, I mean, I would order online every now and again from Element in the past, but what I now do far more frequently is swing by the London shop.
sure,
And when I pop in, I tend to pick something up and it'd be excellent range. I was recommended their super glue not that long ago, and it has become my go-to. Um, Things like that. You pick up those, you're on your way home. Why not? Quite fancy looking at the stuff. You check it, you go to the desk and they say, I've got this. Have you got a code? Yes, I have. And you give that, and they go, oh, you've got this many. And I'm thinking, well, I haven't made enough purchases for that to be the case. So clearly, someone is being very kind, and
that's
it
good.
then tends to offset the thing I'm getting, which is a lovely little treat. Yeah, feels great.
Massive thank you to anyone doing that. If you do want to support us, and you want to use your code for your best mate, absolutely fine. If you use our link, then and I know like everyone and his wife's got a link to a hobby shop at the moment. I get it, it's fine. But if you do want to support the show, you can use the links to help just give us a little bit of a kickback there. That's wonderful. On that note, I used Colourforge super glue the other day. Not for
They did a
modding.
glue. Oh,
Yeah, but they do a nice big glue. Used it to glue some plastic card to a light fitting. So there we go. That's
multi-use of a hobbyist there
indeed.
being brought to bear.
But yeah, you're right. Element's got everything. Um, Newcastle's completely up and running now. They're slowly taking over the world, the European hobby space, or at least the UK hobby space. But yeah, they're good people, so I don't
Met
mind
up
that.
I met up with a friend of the show, Michael, of Track of Words fame, a
Mm,
Black Library reviewer. Well, I should say science fiction reviewer
yeah,
extraordinaire. Um, and he commented because he doesn't get into London as much as he used to anymore, and he commented on how it was really remarkable how much greater the range that Element had in the London store of Games Workshop products when compared with the Warhammer flagship store over in Tottenham Court Road. Just not obviously completely different focus for that shop based on
yeah,
what they're
slight
trying to do.
different vibe going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, to say the least. Totally
Yeah,
different sort of mission
you
statements, but very interesting that they are the different. They are so different.
yeah, you want new people to be able to find stock.
Yeah, yeah.
So one,
You want to see it rather than see a wall of racking and things. But yeah, and we were just commenting on the sort of different experiences there. But yeah, thoroughly enjoying just popping in there, and they're adding things or sort of changing things around so frequently. You go, oh, I haven't discovered. I'd like to think I'm across a lot of the hobby channels and announcements, and yet still I can go in there and go, I've never heard of this brand or this type of hobby product. So yeah,
so much
Element
new stuff.
first and foremost. Yeah, for that.
Yeah, new stuff coming out all the time, which is good. Which is good. Been up to any hobby?
Sort of. Continuing my process of, or my project of printing out terrain. I did purchase some STLs for some buildings for use in Titanicus and Legions Imperialis, and I'm in the process of printing those off, and they are specifically they do complete buildings, ruined buildings, and destroyed buildings, so that you can have them go through those stages. It's the same building in those different states. That destructible terrain was something I've wanted to do, and yeah, that continues apace. I now have quite a large one of those wonderful fruit cardboard boxes, filling up en masse with terrain.
Sure.
So yeah, got these very cool buildings that are in various states of disrepair, and I'm going to start kind of expanding on that if I can, using the day job, or try to try and find that some relevance in that. In terms of actual models, though, been experimenting with some uncally named rotation magnets. That's right, for trying to get my Legions Imperialis aircraft mounted on cool, long acrylic stems, and then you can have them positioned and stuff like that. So sort of slightly odd,
So
idiosyncratic things.
is it an articulated mounting magnet?
Yeah, it's a steel
Right.
ball in a sort of beveled cylinder, I suppose. That is, and the beveled cylinder is the magnet. And you set
Sure.
that
That's
into the
cool.
aircraft. You stick the steel ball on the end of an acrylic rod, put that in a base. Job done. The tricky bit is getting this. Well, there's a couple of bits that are tricky to it. But getting that steel ball to stick to the acrylic rod.
I bet.
That's the tricky bit. I've got two. I'm experimenting with at the moment that I'm seeing if the giving the super glue 24 hours to cure, which is what notionally it
Sure.
does to achieve full strength, is enough. Most people say it isn't, and you will need to use something like green stuff or something to give it a bit
Right. Okay.
more to stick to. But having seen people do that on the particularly there's one epic chat that I'm a part of, and it just looks cool when you have a whole and they're sharing photos of their games, and you've got a flight of aircraft going down a street or something, and they're all banking going around. And you're like, yeah, that does look quite cool, and it
Yeah.
makes it easier to transport because you can then just pop the base off. Lovely.
Sure.
So there's that sort of thing I've been doing in terms of actual painting or building stuff. Not much other than one very big tank.
Yes, indeed. So Games Workshop kindly sent us the Mark II assault troops, which are sat in a box right beside my desk. Got them out a couple of times and ended up losing that whole evening doing no hobby. And that happened 2 or 3 times since they've sent them. And yeah, it was just that I really wanted to get them done. And then once it was they're not going to get done, it was like, okay, right. Well, I've got other stuff I need to be getting on with as well. So, but you got a
Hellblade.
oh yeah,
One of
baby.
those big chunky tanks. I was keen on that because I never had one in the resin. Never thought I would go quite that far with something of that size. Despite I had a plastic aim blade, and funnily enough, many what we're talking probably 30 years ago, I bought a scratch built. Where I grew up in Dorset, there was a little hobby store in the weirdest little part of the touristy part of Weymouth, and clearly just a fan hobbyist was just running his own
Mm,
little pet project. Built a Baneblade. I think the original White Dwarf cardboard
yeah,
template looked great. Bought that before Baneblades were a thing, so I've got a history with that kind of chassis.
sure, yeah.
Had the plastic one. Now got the Fellblade, which is the latest iteration, I suppose, of something of that size and style, and it is quite a step on. That was what I was most impressed with it. I mean, the engineering in it as a
Mm,
model kit, it went together really well. Which you hear people say, so well, what does that mean? What does that? It just felt like the parts locked together. You could almost do it to some degree. You could almost do it without the instructions,
sure.
which that level of intuition or
Mm,
intuitiveness is quite impressive. They lock together really well. There's not that many parts because they've kind of engineered it in such a way that it's quite large interlocking pieces. It feels like the logical step on from things like the Kratos, Sikaran, whatever. the work that they've done on those, and it feels like they've gone, yeah, we can scale this, we can move this
Oh
in,
yeah.
and it was just great. It was just kind of really fun, and what a counterpoint to my gripes that I had with something like the Mark II Centurion in the Saturnine kit, which was challenging to say the least, and frustrating. I would go as far to say. Whereas the Fellblade was an absolute pleasure. Yeah, so I've got one of those assembled, and you get the funky new sponsons on it as well. You get the extra sprue, which gives you, compared with the Spartan, which gives you the so Spartan / Land Raider, gives you either the twin or single las cannons, depending on which tank you're building. This one comes with both that sprue and a new sprue that lets you do quad heavy bolters or the quad laser destroyer array thing, which I think is going to be quite popular. And I would be surprised if they've not said anything about it, but much like they do with the Contemptor and the Leviathan, I'd be surprised if they didn't. It'd be missing a trick if they didn't make that available separately.
Maybe.
Would be a kind of funky thing to
Maybe.
do, because I would have thought there's an awful lot of Spartans in particular out there that are going to want to drop in some of those alternative sponsons. So I would imagine that might be a thing they might look at. Not that we've heard anything about that. But yeah, so very much looking forward to getting some paint on that, and I think it's going to be Iron Warriors. It has to be.
Cool. We'll look
Yeah.
forward to seeing that.
Yeah,
when
I'll get
it's
some photos
on
of the
its
kit.
way.
We'll put those out on the channel so people can see those and see it being assembled. But we're not far off that being in stores now.
Yeah, no, coming up on us. So alongside that, the book is up for pre-order. We did not get sent one, which is what it is.
Mhm.
Like, when you're getting sent stuff, you can't moan too much that you got sent something.
Yeah.
But it does mean that we can't review the book, which we would have done for the Saturday that it was revealed, that it was put up for pre-order. So we are going to have to wait for the book, to purchase the book, and go from there. And we'll probably talk a bit about it next episode. Maybe we need to talk about this because I don't think I've texted you it yet, but I think we might have to try, like, maybe change the way we look at these books a little bit, more like holistically, as it were. I think all the information's out there at the end of the day, particularly with what we're doing now. So I think there's a space on the show or a direction on the show where we maybe, not to say that I don't think we do it anyway, but to look over the whole book, not to get too caught up on the units and how good or not good they are, and whether we'll see them on the table.
No, I find I've been actually, because I'm very unusually working from home recently, and as a result of that, it's allowed me to have something on in the background, like some of the people reviewing books and units, particularly with the number of PDFs that have been released and army lists. And it sort of hammered home that you do get very different opinions, and it's great to have these different perspectives. Having yet another one of those that does something similar, I would rather keep it, as you say, I'd rather keep it sort of higher level.
I mean, this is us talking, so it is,
yeah,
the
that's a relative term.
Yeah, but no, we'll do that a little bit behind the curtain here, but yeah, we'll probably just look at the way we talk about things like that moving forwards, hopefully, and hopefully we can give it the time to do that, because as you say, the other thing is I'm not playing the game as much as I was 8 years ago, when back in the good old days. So it's it's a different environment to be talking about this stuff, but we will
certainly my
do
focus is
that.
much more on the modelling. It kind of has to be. It's on the modelling and the painting far more than it is playing the game.
Well,
just
just to
life.
mix. Sorry, just to in the like what we've been up to section, just to kind of mix that in with maybe another section we'll do another day. I think there's a couple of reasons. I think I've sort of made a decision that I'm going to go to fewer events, or even try to go to fewer events. Like, I still want to go to the odd event, but I'm not 100% sure event Heresy is the gaming space that I'm going to get the most from the game.
Interesting.
I think maybe it will be more of a casual environment. Now, I say, does this mean I'll never go to events? No. Does the fact that we might be moving house mean I never go to events? Yeah, much more likely if we get a bigger mortgage. But I think there's a potential, and I'm mulling this over in my head a little bit, but I think there's a potential that I'm seeing chat around events, and it's probably always been there. Maybe I've changed a bit. Maybe the events have changed, space changed a bit. That I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go and face that kind of army, or I don't know if I want to play that kind of scenario, or I don't know if I want to, and it's not a universal thing. It's not, I've looked at every event and gone, no, 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 no. Often it'll be like, oh, I like the way they've done that. But, this game, at the end of the day, all these games, it's you spending your free time doing something, and money and effort and what have you. So it's got to be valuable to you. And I love certain types of events that make me want to go, the big events. Like, I won't be able to go to Adepticon next year. I might not be able to go for a number of years now. But if someone said, Greg, I'm going to pay for you to go to Adepticon, I'll be there in a shot. Because the event of the whole show is something that's amazing. Would I necessarily go to a 30-player Heresy event that's 6 hours away? Maybe not. Because it's a different feel and everything else. But this is not fully realised in my head yet. This is a kind of thing I've been mulling over the last few weeks. I think. Yeah, I think it's been there longer than I thought it was. But does that mean I'd stay out of events? Does it mean I won't run events? Not necessarily. I think this edition's making me think about how we play the game a bit. I think that's partly how I've seen people approach the edition, but I also think the edition throws up maybe different questions to the previous editions. So,
We've
and definitely
discussed
a larger gaming community, I think, does as well. But
we've discussed before on, I think it was prior to third edition coming around. We were talking about some of you've been going to play games, and you sort of talked about wanting to play Crusade for 40k. There was you and a friend at the local gaming club, I think, or was it just a friend? You were keen to do a sort of campaign, effectively through Crusade mechanism or otherwise. You've spoken about that. Is that the sort of thing that could perhaps scratch that itch in a different way? Do that through Heresy instead?
Maybe. And this is what some time spent with this edition will have to kind of work out. It's like, how do I provide that in this edition? Does it have to be, everything's on a scale. Is it going to be a large effort to provide that based on the game? I don't know. This is not me making just snap judgments about it. This is me trying to work it out in my head. Is an event going to turn up that appeals to me because they try and do that? Maybe. But let's look at 40k. The Grand Narrative was happening over the weekend, the UK leg of the Grand Narrative. And on the Independent Characters Discord, there's a number of people who go to the American legs if they can, the American leg. And, even there, they have people playing the game in a style that those people don't necessarily want to play. But the majority of people are, they're either dressing up or they're engaging in, making sure the characters are named and have a story, and not picking the best thing on the progression chart because actually so and so did this, so I'm going to give them this skill. Not min-maxing the roster on the way, that kind of thing. And not to say that, again, as I say, it's a sliding scale, and it's probably about 5 or 6 sliding scales because there's different aspects of the game all at once. It's just trying to find what works for you. And amongst that, it's not just, as you say, it's not just the gaming, it's the time and the effort and everything else around it. Weirdly, I play Age of Sigmar pretty much straight tournament style. For some reason, that works for me. I don't necessarily take the hardest lists to do that. but we tend to play match play out the book, play one of the scenarios. Here we go, crack on. So it's not like that's completely gone from me, that I've completely turned away from wanting that challenge, but it's a combination of a lot of things, but we'll see. See, I need to play this edition more as well.
Yeah, I'm lining that up now. A local friend of mine, who Grant, who Diadrin, as he is, on Instagram, he has recently finished his house move and has his hobby space set up again, and has suggested we meet up for some games. So, yeah, I'm hoping we can do that again, because he's still not a million miles away. So, yeah, I'd like to try and get some games in as well. So, just not actually doing that anything like as much, and that seems a shame, having stuff kicking around. But it's you're sort of prioritizing hobby. We, in an unusual move, we actually met up, you and I, when the London Grand Tournament was taking place.
Indeed, we popped up on the Friday evening, didn't we?
We did, and you then went back again on the Saturday as a spectator. Saturday morning. Did that seeing the type of games that were being played there, because obviously they have all the games were there.
I didn't stay that long at the Heresy.
Those events?
Specifically the London GT? No. There's the London GT events historically have not been the kind of event packs that I appreciate. And, I think I definitely know that there were some people there who were there because it's a local event, and it's 2 days, and it's, it's cool and it's fun and they'll have fun, but it's not their chosen event, if you know what I mean. I didn't hang around the Heresy tables that long. There were some cool looking armies. There were some people we know. Shout out to Lee, who listens, and is very complimentary about you.
Always been a big fan of Lee. He's a good guy.
He paints very well. But yeah, there was a few names there in the faces that I know and recognise. There was I kind of went to just look around the whole lot. The old world had a good showing, and nature of me being an old fantasy player, there were people at the old world tables who I haven't seen for 12 or 13 years from those old fantasy competitive days, and they haven't changed. Good people, some good people. I met up with Albert, I haven't seen for that long, and we used to always end up chatting on a Friday, Saturday night. Lots of faces I hadn't seen in a long time, so did a bit of that. Walked around a few players of our club playing the 40k GT. It was 1,050 odd players or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was 500. Wow, way more than I
thought.
Oh
no! Someone came. One of our guys came almost dead halfway at 500 ish.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it is what it is. It is the
Huge.
GT is the GT. The guy who won it has won it for 3 years in a row now. Like some dude, I can't remember who it is, but that's pretty impressive. But yeah, wandered around to have a look around and see what was going on. Like
just cool. It's kind of cool to see it. See a gaming event on that scale, purely on gaming as well.
Venue.
Middle of nowhere is painful. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the sound gets quite noisy in there, and it's always a problem when you got that many people. But the location's awful. But hey, they do what they can. What's quite funny was there's some kids doing some athletics there on the Saturday morning. They're all outside. Don't think they normally have like 5 or 6 food wagons. So a few parents were getting their coffees and whatever. Maybe they do. Maybe they do have a coffee wagon there quite often. But yeah, there was a few of them hovering around there, which is quite cool. Did get to play the a demo of Worms, the board game from Mantic. Looks like a lot of fun. Looks very fast, very chilled. You got to blow each other up. You can destroy tiles. You can destroy mines and ammo crates. You can destroy worms. Every time you knock something into the air, the wind can blow them. So you can blow them. So you can blow them off. You can kill them. You can blow them off the tiles they're on. You can destroy the tile they're standing on. Loads of. You can throw a holy orb of Antioch. It's quite fast paced. They're going to bring out an expansion, 5 to 6 players that kick-started the expansion alongside the thing. But so I think I saw someone painted a whole worm set with like 78 different worms in it or something like that. That looks like a potential multiplayer cracking game. I think it's 45 quid on Element if you want to order it.
Oh, not bad.
So
Right.
it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But it was good to see a lot of people gaming at LGT.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it looked pretty massive. So it was. Yeah, I just wondered what your thoughts were seeing those games taking place and how that might have.
Yeah, I didn't really.
How do
I
you
was in a
reflect on
different
that, given what you
headspace.
just said?
I didn't sit there and think, I really should be playing Old World, Heresy, or even Old World, or there's a few people in the Age of Sigmar section that I knew as well. Yeah, I might go to the LGT next year. I might try and play something, but because it's only 2 hours drive, from where I am, so that's quite for local events and then for a big event, that's a really short distance from me. So we'll see. We shall see. Who knows? Just before we move on, I know this section's gone on a little while. We talked about the event I was going to run last episode. That event has now been cancelled. Unfortunately, we didn't have many sign-ups. A combination of things, but mainly third edition coming out, me not wanting to release a pack without working out what we were going to do, because I feel particularly when a new edition comes out, you need to be clear about what's going to be played and everything else, which then meant that we didn't advertise it. So it's reached a point where we've had to choose to cancel it. However, we hopefully will be back next year. And this year was just going to be Heresy. And I think the idea next year is to expand it fully into a multi-game system. So I definitely want Heresy and Titanicus and maybe Legions going on there as well. So I'm going to be talking to some people. And this is part of that discussion we had earlier about my gaming. I'm not sure I want to run it because I'm not sure that I want the kind of games that most people want. So it's really hard for me to then write a pack which isn't the game I want to play.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I'm thinking about getting hold of some people to maybe come in and run it, and me be an overall kind of thing. So if you know anyone who really likes Titanicus, Howard, who want to run a Titanicus event, then
Noted. I can think of a
that
couple.
kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of thing. So hopefully next year around the same time, a wonderful venue. I haven't been there, but from looking at the photos and reading the descriptions, it looks like an amazing venue. Like to go full board in a private school setting with access to a gym for 160 quid for a weekend or something is, was it 2 nights? Like, that's one night sometimes at a hotel. Okay, you can split it with your mate, but then food on top. Yeah, all that. So that's cool. And then bigger news. Well, we'll say bigger news. Bigger for me personally. I'm going to put up a post on the Instas. It might already be up by the time this comes out. We have got the charity raffle we did with the models.
Oh yes.
Raised $4,000-ish, and that money all went. Thankfully with Just Giving, it will go straight to the charity. A large portion of that money has now purchased an Abbey cooling cot, which is going into a funeral care place in Newcastle. So we have a one of these facilities which is just like, hopefully no one ever uses it, but unfortunately they will, and it will provide something for them that they never knew they needed, if it's their first time, obviously. And that's down to the people who donated their time and effort to paint the models, and the people who paid money as well. So I will get photos of it up as well. Obviously we can't do something for everyone. What they do with it now is they have a plaque on there to say it's been donated, and they actually cut a little heart out of the plaque, and that will be coming to Emma and myself. Obviously, it would be lovely to be able to, reward everyone who did something for us. But when that comes as well, I'll get a photo of that and put that online. I just want to say thank you to everyone who did that. I am I want to do another charity thing next year. Don't know what, no idea what, but maybe late next year we can do something similar and raise some more money. So if anyone's got any ideas on that, please feel free to send them over. I talked to one of the prominent helpers last time, and he was like, "Yeah, good luck with that." So whether it's the same like amount of stuff, 18 painters was a bit of a
That was challenging. Yeah.
It was challenging, but that's all part of the fun. So yeah, thank you all, and we better do the next one. Right, let's. In fact, no, we haven't done much hobby. We included that in here. I have done not a lot of hobby, I must admit. I've got my Legions Imperialis stuff, the two Mastodons and the Typhons. They're all done sans transfers, but finished enough for my progress challenge for the independent characters. So like, go
nice.
me. So I've got to. I was hoping to get a launch on the next one and get something started already, but I need to decide what to do next month for that. To try and just get a little bit of the grey stuff painted, but we shall have to see on that one. Okay, let's stop at that. Let's come back and we'll talk news. Okie dokie. Right, let's jump into the news. What has been going on in the world of Heresy over the last month? It's been relatively quiet in terms of, it hasn't been quiet, but in terms of news articles, it's been quiet. We're not going to talk about the Demons of the Runestorm because we're going to do a whole section on that.
Yeah, we don't need to touch on that, but that is a thing that happened. Continuing the march of the PDFs.
Actually, yeah, and on time and cool. So fair play for that. And then we got also along with that, we got the inducti rules, which again I haven't had time to sit down and go through yet properly, but there's some interesting stuff in there that I've seen. So yeah,
I did a bit. I did get a chance to have a read through it, and I've listened to a few things and read a few things that people have been putting out there about that, and just generally with the discussions. There wasn't the uptake behind that in terms of the group chats that I'm a part of that I was expecting. I thought people would be kind of quite excited about it. There didn't seem to be all that much chat about it, certainly not compared to the other PDFs that had been released, which I was slightly surprised at because I thought they did a good job with this. I wasn't fully expecting each Legion's inducti to have their own unit profile. That was quite surprising, and it gave them quite a lot of design space.
Yeah,
I just thought it continued the trend of them doing a good job, a really good job with these PDFs. I was quite impressed. They look usable. They provide an interesting alternative. Yeah, great.
Are we in a two-tier class situation here between PDF rules and book rules? Do you think there's an element of that?
No, I don't think it is, because I think
not in terms of quality of rules, in terms of reaction / attention, whatever it is.
Because I think the reaction and attention for community, I thought was sort of off the chart particularly for the militia. Less so for Custodes and Ruinstorm, but even Demons got a lot of attention. Just that for some reason Inducti didn't. I mean, I found it very interesting, particularly listening to people talk who are across game systems, and they were saying, "Hope." Yeah, they were quite blown away by how good essentially Heresy had it. Have PDF content of that nature be released in the way that it was, and the amount of it that was being released. They were like AOS 40k. I forget the other game systems beyond that as well. They weren't getting that kind of stuff, and they were quite sort of envious envious as if they were somehow locked into it. They were generally talking about it because they played as well, but they were like, good on the team doing the Heresy stuff, because they're knocking it out of the park with these, and the sort of content in those was quite impressive. And Inducti was continuing that. I I wasn't interested in Inducti in the previous the second
Right.
edition of Heresy. I am now. They made
Sure.
sense. They made more sense to me to include in an army than they did there. They just tipped me over the edge in capturing what Inductor was supposed to be. So I was quite impressed. People saying there are winners and losers in there. Yeah, there's going to be some that are better than others, but I don't think that's that extreme. And from what I've heard, people will think of a similar opinion. There's not, oh, that one's dreadful and that one's crazy powerful. They all got their uses. They're relatively flavorful. They capture quite a cool idea for most of them. I haven't heard many gripes about it. Yeah, I think that's quite a cool PDF
No,
for them to put out.
but I haven't heard much talk about them. It was like there and then it
No.
disappeared.
Yeah.
And I've heard a few people going, yeah, I'm not using them because for their
Mm,
army it doesn't work, whatever. But okay, well maybe that's one we have to like see how it goes moving forward. Do people pick it
mm,
up? Is there more chat about them after a few weeks when people see what they can or can't do with them? Yeah, I don't know. I know the Space Wolf one looks interesting because it brings back
mm,
running and charging.
mm-hmm.
You got to make sure you get the charge though because it becomes stunned and pinned if you fail it. But with Vanguard 2 and that's cool. Although discussions still rage about Vanguard and how useful it is. But hey, what do you think about? The one thing I did see was a small amount of grumbling that they can't be used to select a prime advantage. But I have no issue with that.
No, I think it's appropriate for a sort
Yeah.
of, if you've got veteran tactical squads, then tactical squads in the middle, and then these being sort of a rung down from that or a sidestep. I think the idea that they're not your mainstay, I think is perfectly
Hmm.
logical there be that kind of downside to them.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is like the lack of story around these units. You get a small paragraph of blurb above it.
Mm.
But I'm and I
I
saw
think
someone saying just be automatically accept you're going to be disappointed that they're a tone down or whatever. But when everything again, I'll reiterate how I feel when everything's toned down. If these are toned down, then that's almost irrelevant. That's it's all in line with each other. And if you're
mm,
toned down less than someone else, then it's a positive for you. Uh, uh, you know, that's a different discussion moving forwards about um, how you know how how the game plays, but then also alongside that where the flavour comes. I think these do add a bit of flavour, but that's another
mm,
thing with we've lost a lot of the we haven't lost it. There's been a lessening of the amount of lore we're getting, flavour for the armies as a whole. But does that start to come back in with things like Inducti,
mm, mm.
that kind of thing? We'll have to see. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be, I think there's potential for there to be a real evolution on the way they present units
Mm,
going forwards. I think we saw that with Necromunda,
mm,
and I wouldn't be surprised if we get, I say, an evolution over the next however many years of the armies.
mm.
But
Yeah.
who knows? So yeah, let
Yeah.
us know if you
I
use.
thought it was cool. I liked it, and I think they did a good job with it. And I'm now interested in using some of the tactical squads that are sat unbuilt to build some of those. I think they could be quite fun. We had community articles on the people. Well, they weren't community actually. They were. I think they were staff, a part of the community team doing their fell blades and their assault marines.
Yes, absolutely. And they're all pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm just having a little nosy now.
I do like Andy Hoare's scheme for his Ultramarines. He does that metallic blue, and I think on the tanks in particular,
That is Andy Hoare, is it?
I'm 90% certain it is.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's got a metallic Emperor's Children and a metallic
Yes.
Ultramarines, and the Ultramarine, particularly the Fellblade, it just works an absolute treat. Such a good tone of blue that he's got on that, and then weathered just the right amount. Yeah, I think that looks really good. As does, I mean, I'm a sucker for a metallic scheme. As does the Thousand Suns Fellblade. I thought that looked
Or you
cool as
might
well.
say that. Les is good people.
Mm.
And it
Shows.
is fantastic. I often see people commenting on his Thousand Suns, actually.
Actually,
I
the
think
standard of
there's...
all of them. I mean, the standard of them
Yeah, oh
is
yeah.
top tier on those tanks.
I
They are
don't always
excellent.
think that Salamander's one's a really interesting colour, like tone
Yeah.
to the paint. But I don't. I think Thousand Suns is one where you can often see, like, if you try something like this and you're not quite on it, it can
Mm.
fall flat.
Mm.
So when you see it done really well, it works really well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Loved all of those, and then the Assault Marines. Yeah. Similarly cool. Made me
Definitely.
like them a lot.
Just can't help but feel those World Eaters with the helmets with the ears on. It's just going to create so much drag, like so much more drag. Like they'll be flying through the air, just forcing their head forwards as it's being pushed back by the wind. But they do look cool. They're chunky
That
beasts, aren't
head, that particular helmet design, I've seen that used several times now. And the first time I saw it was Andy Wardle of
they?
Cold
Right.
Paint Fame, where they'd just taken the ears off and used that, and he'd used it for his Sons of Horus, and I've seen that used a couple of times for Sons of Horus in particular as this Sauron pattern helmet. I've seen that there are 3D versions that aren't the same as this, but similar that people are using as well. Very popular to have the sort of de-eared version
Yeah.
being used for the kits, not just for these Assault Marines, but used to particularly seem to work very well for the Mark IIs, which people have been building. Yeah, big fan of those, and they work a treat for those Assault Marines as well.
That's
Albeit
cool.
drag aerodynamics notwithstanding.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Whatevs. They're Space Marines. They're fine. How expanding your Legions of Astartes combat force?
Oh
I don't know if
yes.
a proper marketing ploy this is, but I don't think it's too bad. Grab yourself a Centurion, grab yourself a Predator, an Assault Squad. Cool. Like, it's going to fill out nicely, give you options. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think it's always interesting little articles. You wonder, think, oh shoot, we're releasing these. How do we really maximize our money's worth from these?
I feel like
Right, an
particularly
article.
with the solar one, they missed a trick there and didn't just. I mean, people would have been very cynical about it, I'm sure. But could have had one of those points being a second combat force.
Yeah,
Like that one in
yeah,
particular lends
that,
itself to having
that would.
multiples.
I think that's the veterans method, right? But this
Yeah,
is, this is the slightly newer person. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
cool. You could do one of these and one of these and one of these.
Mm.
But if you want to get to 3,000 points fairly soon, well, start with the second one,
Yeah, yeah.
and we can go from there.
Mm.
Um,
In terms of other news,
Legions,
there's
Legions
just not a lot.
Imperialis combat forces.
That was a bit of a surprise that they were
Well,
out
I
and
mean,
about.
if you're going to push a game and you want it to sell, you need people to be able to get into that game, particularly once it's already started. And Legions, has that problem. It's all in plastic. Like, I'm a little bit surprised, but it also makes complete sense. Which, you know what, GW doesn't necessarily always do that. So for Space Marines, you get 2 Legion Command Squad bases, 8 Tactical Squad, 2 Legion Terminate bases, 2 Assault Marine bases, 2 Support Legionary bases, 2 Heavy Support Legionary bases, and then 4 Rapiers, 4 Tarantulas, 4 Leviathan Siege Dreadnoughts, and 4 Contempt Dreadnoughts. plus 5 rhinos and 4 Kratos heavy assault tanks and 4 Sikaran battle tanks. That's decent, isn't it? Like,
It is, and people
can
are
you play a game with
comparing
it?
them.
No, but
Mm.
it's a good mix of things to start with. Sorry, you were
People are
saying.
comparing them with the battle groups boxes that came out
Right.
a while ago. Did they come out around the same time as the game itself?
Mm.
Either way, they came out more than a year ago. Those battle groups existed. They were £125, I think, and these I think are closer to the £100 mark. Although that said, that's speculation. I haven't seen
Sure.
how much they're going to
I
be,
wouldn't be surprised.
but it means that they're cheaper, but with half a box less, because all of them have the equivalent of a half a box of a transport. So you get 5 rhinos rather than 10 that you would get in the standalone box,
Sure,
essentially.
yeah.
And some of the contents has been switched around, whereas in the battle group box you got the fast attack set. In this you get 4 Sicarans. Actually, it's not bad, as you say, and they're very usable forces. Again, you could just sort of get 2 Kratoses in the main box. Is that okay? Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in the infantry one, particularly the mechanical
4
one. Yeah,
Kratos.
I think it's What did I say? Anyway,
You
it
get
doesn't matter.
2, you get 4.
Yeah, yeah.
The Mechanican one looks solid. I just look at those Voraks in that scale and just think,
Oh, yeah.
don't want to drop them.
Goodness me, they are fiddly, but yeah.
That's cool. And then the solar one, that all the rapers, and that's the only bit of that one. Not the
In terms
rapers,
of a
the
multiple
tarantulas.
purchase, yeah, you do get a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is maybe that part of it is slightly less appealing to most people. Maybe not.
Possibly, if it
Maybe not.
does make sense if you play play them and Marines, because then the tarantulas are useful
Yes,
across both factions, depending on how
for
you play.
sure. But I could see
Yeah,
some
point
of these
stands.
people just saying, just give me more Russ or those kind
Yeah,
of things,
yeah.
which you might want to lean more into. But they're cool. Again, if you're providing another entry point,
Yeah,
if you're
they
already
do that well.
knee deep into the game and you go, oh, I don't want these boxes. Well, they're
Mm,
not for you anyway. Let's
mm,
try and get you to start up what you're doing.
mm.
So
Yeah,
that's
the specialist design studio do seem to do these things, these entry point boxes, and just generally thinking that through. That seems to go quite well. They do that really quite well.
yeah. I mean, there's an argument they need them more than 40k in Age of Sigmar because the barriers to entry are already higher by nature of it not being as in your face and a mainline game and all that kind of thing.
Quite.
So that's sounds good. I think that was about all the news really. There wasn't a
That's all
huge
I
amount.
saw that is Heresy specific.
Yeah.
There's
We're
some new
approaching.
Terminators, as if you want to go
Well,
tangent
yeah,
that way. Assault
Indomitus.
Terminators.
Yeah,
It's just to use as a basis as some conversions, but it's a bit
I'm sure.
of a tangent.
Yeah, some people are fine. They are huge compared to Cataphractii and Tartarus. I would, I'm going to hold off. And they're different. In second edition, I was very tempted to grab a load, but now maybe not. But hey, it's all good fun. Okay. Yeah. So should we leave that there as a slightly shorter session? That
I
doesn't
think
bother
so.
me.
I think we covered that all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let us go to some music. Okay. Demons of the Runestorm. We had an on-time reveal of the release of the Demons of the Runestorm. Oh, it's pared down, isn't it? It's pared down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 entries plus Lords of War.
Mhm.
That's smaller than it's been. What have you heard off, in the background about the demons?
I
What
had
the
heard.
initial?
I generally I didn't hear a great deal of negativity around it. I think demons had quite a few people look at them a little bit like you can with Mechanicum, probably to a lesser degree, where it can feel very complicated. It can feel like
Sure.
there's a lot going on with those because of that. It was a note I made was sandbox. Because it was so malleable, there was a lot of things you could do, and I think that I got an impression that it made it a little formidable for some to be able to take on that sort of thing. It did often see them represented at events, either from photos from events or events one attends, either in playing or as a spectator. So you tended to see them, but only in quite small numbers. Certainly to a lesser degree than you saw with, which is somewhat surprising, things like solar and otherwise. But that's changed obviously with the introduction of plastics and things. Demons having actual, having had models for a long time made that a bit easier, albeit sort of tangential ones. So I didn't see people saying, "Oh, this has been toned down. There's not as much you can do." I generally saw that had been okay. Now that might be because of people. There seemed to be a commonality in people wanting to run them as an allied detachment, running it that way, rather than
Sure.
I haven't seen that many people step in and say, "Demons are an army I run. This is how my feelings about this." I don't think I've seen a single case of that, actually. I saw people who were playing them, but they were playing them as an attachment or an ally, really, to something else. I didn't have that. The principal person I know who's played it is you.
Sure.
So, what about you? What did you hear?
Well, I talked to someone who runs events and really likes them from second. I don't know if you played them in first ed. In first ed, yeah, there was so much you could do with them. They had extremely high toughness in certain places, which made them challenging to deal with the way the weapons worked. The best weapons against demons were generally not the best weapons against marines, and so
Mm.
you benefited as a demon player from people taking the las cannons. You didn't care that much that people had las cannons. Someone bringing an auto cannon with the extra shots was almost more of a threat because you're just pumping out more. But it was their toughness was actually the probably biggest key. There were things you could do, but they were really tough. This article, this PDF, has pared down quite a lot of their flavour.
Mm.
I was talking to this guy, he kind of, has the same feeling about that, but that's symptomatic of the way the game design has gone in third edition. So, it's in line with everything, and who knows where we go in the future with that. They don't have many units to pick from, so you have to kind of, be aware of what you're doing with them. One of the big changes is the sovereign was kind of a bit of a beast in second, but was also necessary to a point. The beast and the archdemon, the great Lord of War, generic Lord of War, ended up doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So you were trying to get them everywhere, and the durability was helping you with that. With the game the way it is now, with the speed and the ability to put out much more damage, the sovereign is still scary, but can be handled. From what I can gather and from the feedback I've got, you're going to lose them, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's fine, but you've just got to be aware of that. Yeah, so you're less resilient than you were, particularly back in the day, and you've got to be aware of that. You've got fewer options. You haven't got the upgrades on the units, so your playstyle can't be tailored quite as much as it used to be.
I was going to ask that because you said that it's a sort of drop in flavour, and people obviously said that as a sort of almost as a design decision for the edition as a whole, and that now for specifically for Marines, that sort of is represented by the removal of rights of war, as it was the removal, or sort of perhaps toning down of Legion traits, but particularly rights of war seem to be a major part of that, and to some degree warlord traits and things like that. What were is it the upgrades that were the
Upgrades is a
thing that's lost
major
more?
part of it. Yeah, as so say we don't want to get stuck too much in old editions, but just to make people aware, you would choose your etheric dominion, and then from there you'd go and choose your let's take your basic Ruinstorm demon. You would choose your lesser demon, and you would then have the option to add one. Lesser demon's got one option from a host of options with different points values depending on like the size of the type of unit. And I say type, but I mean essentially it was done on what was it done on like size basically, size slash ability. So less demons could take like one extra rule, maybe cavalry, the hounds, the beasts could take two, and then the brutes could take characters could take three. So you would pick your lesser demon. You could choose to give them all wings. You could also choose to give them rending claws, essentially, or you could give them a shooting attack, or you could give them, a small psychic ability, or whatever it was. There was, dozens of these options. So when you got to like your sovereign, your main big guy, again you could have wings, or you could have like essentially a jump pack, or you could have 2-up armor save, or you could have whenever you're wounded, you do damage back to the people in combat, whatever it was. So you really could tailor your army choices for whatever you wanted that to be, whether that was for lore or for gaming ability, or just because you thought it was fun. And now, obviously, so looking at the lesser demons here, you can have any model can get an infernal blade. Cool, so you can upgrade their combat weapons, and then one model can then get a great infernal blade. So okay, and then you can get immaterial projectiles, so a shooting attack, and then one model in the unit can be given a totem of dominion, a banner, effectively. So there's 4 options there, 2 of which only affect 2 models. So immediately there, the unit in and of itself has less ability to be changed, and therefore in terms of telling a story is more limited from a rules perspective. Obviously from a modeling perspective you can choose those infernal blades or that immaterial projectiles to be whatever you want. So that is all still there, and that's one of the key aspects of demons is still there, but it's the removal of those options for sure.
Okay.
So I can't remember how many etheric dominions there were. I think there were 8 in the last.
And there's 8 now.
One might have been 10. So essentially, for those who aren't aware, if you're newer to the setting, in theory, no one really knew what demons were. You read the early books. Turns out more legions knew about demons than is first believed. But the demons they don't appear to the Imperial eyes to be as allied with the Chaos Gods specifically. So in the novels we do read, plague bearers are notable on Davin. Some horrors and Zinchian demons are notable. I'll be able to be seen in Galaxy of Flames and a few other books, things like that. Towards the end of the siege, bloodletters are more of a thing, but they don't know what the average Joe doesn't know what he's looking at here. There's just a massive different stuff. So They aren't as allied closely to the four gods as we know, but you can still lean towards that. So the dominions are army-wide rules, effectively, that give a flavour to your army and a rule to go with it. And they've still kind of made 4 of them god-specific, but not to the point where you couldn't take them. That kind of thing. And then there's some more like ones that are angled in a specific manner. Should we go through some of them? Should we go through these?
Yeah.
So this applies. So all units selected as part of the army whose primary detachment contains any units with the above must have the same etheric demon trait unless otherwise stated. So basically, named characters may be able to fall outside of that. So number 1, encroaching ruin. A model with this trait gains deep strike special rule and the desecrator special rule, and then they may also have the psycho trait. Cool. And there's
If they're a
3
command or champion.
Yeah. So there we go. Cool. You can plod along. I'm going to look up the desecrators. So
Essentially, it means you can score.
yeah,
Or you score more. You get a variant of line.
a
I think you have
willpower
to pass
check.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to pass a check, don't you? Yeah.
And how much you pass it by gives you line.
Yeah. So you could potentially be quite a high line value if you roll well. The blurb that goes with it, the law that goes with that one. This one is, in my opinion, this one is the sort of chaos undivided equivalent.
Yep.
It's the sort of the
true essence of
generic.
chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, crazy stuff.
Deep
Where
strike,
are we?
pretty cool.
Yeah, deep strike's useful. I mean, useful. Desecrate special rule, cool. And yeah, psychers. You want some psychers? You can have some psychers. That's fine. Heedless slaughter. Guess who this belongs to? You gain the desecrate special rule. Any unit contains at least one model that can never be the focus or target of a psychic blessing or psychic curse. So your Khorne kind of guided one gives you the ability to ignore blessings and curses put on you. Doesn't get you to ignore someone else putting a blessing on them, though. So there is that, but very straightforward. Putrid corruption. Desecrators feel no pain, 6 up and heavy subtype, so you're going to be slower, but you have the advantage of that. And anyone with bulky can also gain the explodes rule on a 5 up. Exploded to pus and whatever.
Yeah, I love that one.
And
I love that.
you can
I love
have
all the rules in this one. It's just one of the more thematic ones, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have psychers, biomancy psychers for your command and champion subtypes, obviously Nurgle based. Rapturous sensation, Slanesh themed desecrators. If you're not heavy, you're light. And commands psycho traits again to telekinesis and telepathy. So light's cool. And then you get formless distortion. So desecrators again, they all get it in the desecrators. That's cool. If you're declared as the target of a charge move, a setup move, or any setup move made by the enemy is reduced by D3 to a minimum of 1. And you can be psychers again. So, yeah. Cool. Infernal Tempest, Desecrator and a Flame. And then Psycho Trait again on Pyromancy. Cool. If you want to be flamey.
It's all the fire all the time.
Absolutely. Ravenous Dissolution model with this etheric medium desecrates the hatred malefic psyker special rule. And then 3 choices for your psychic powers. So it's feast such as the hatred that swells in the warp that encompasses all things like a dragon of eternity that feasts upon its own tail. This hatred extends even to itself. To expect rationale and some logic from creatures such as these would be foolish. So that's sort of elements of Malal in there, which was a kind
Definitely,
of didn't matter who it hit, but a slightly adapted version of that. Like this is pure chaos will always hurt itself. Evil will always turn in on itself. That kind of thing. And then Malevolent Artifice. So Desecrator is an armor breaker 4+. If a unit is selected to fill a prime slot, they get the prime slot. They get the following prime advantage: 1 additional 4-slot. Maybe of any battlefield role higher than high command. Maybe filled by a unit selected. Yeah.
The Malevolent Artifice one being the sort of the idea of it's the sort of dark mechanicum.
Yes.
Perhaps embodied a little bit by, I've forgotten his name, in 40k, the new demon, the new...
Yeah, the Machina Malefica section of the Mechanicum Tagmata army list. Sorry, that was where I was getting confused with a bit of word blindness. So basically you can pull something into your army from that, because this is about tying demons into machinery, that kind of thing.
That's
the
what I'm thinking.
Guy.
Yeah, you got the Vashdor guy in 40k. It's this idea of the dark mechanicum, demon engines, all that stuff, all the stuff that makes the sort of technology parts of it.
Yeah, that's cool. And you get an additional reaction point if your demons that are in storm. So that's your overall army kind of rules. Choose what you want. But also within that, there's obviously keys into styles and background and flavour of what you want. So, traditionally I've played a fairly Khorne-centric kind of list. Heedless Slaughter fits into that. Unfortunately, not necessarily the one I'd be most tempted to play with. So maybe I would look again, because you know what? Infernal Tempest could play into that. You just don't take the pyromancy, or you could model your army a different way based on the pyromantic discipline. You could have them, shooting flaming things or whatever if you really wanted to, but you could just take the flame special, that kind of thing. So you can choose here. The 4 gods, slightly easier to choose from if you want a more mechanical demon theme, because the beauty of this is the only official unit to the brutes, if I recall correctly, which are very much Chaos Undecided, beautiful models. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them going forwards if we get anything more of these demons. But if you want a demon army that looks mechanical, you can jump into Malevolent Artifice. You could, potentially, you could also jump into Putrid Corruption, because Feel No Pain 6 up, they're metal, fine. Heavy subtype, that works. Explodes, that works. Maybe you don't take the Psychers, or maybe you do take the Psychers. But Putrid Corruption, you just need to reword what happens to them to be more mechanical, and you can play your army that way, that kind of thing. So then you're not getting a whole host of rules with these, but you're getting a flavour to add on.
How do you feel this compares in terms of capturing a flavour with Militia? Because that's the one I hear sort of almost being setting the benchmark in terms of capturing flavour, largely because it was probably perhaps so flexible. It lets you do a lot. And in the little designer's notes thing they put out, they said there was a specific drive to say we would like to give you a more direct path to being able to use, for example, the full Necromunda range, if you so wished to influence it and bring that over and play in your games of Heresy. On the surface, or just as a sort of a feel, somehow I feel like that was arguably slightly more successful in capturing or giving you a toolbox from which you could do things. I don't think that's quite correct, my initial feeling like that, because for everything you've just said, the way you've just outlined it, I think there's as much flexibility in this. I think perhaps the fact that you're sort of locked into the 8 etheric dominions rather than having lots of things that you could sort of customize within those. Maybe that's a
Yeah,
limiting factor. It
you've
doesn't
got.
feel quite as flexible somehow.
You're not. If you look at some of those etheric dominions, like that, the putrid corruption's one of the ones that tells more of a story. Like the heedless slaughter one, I'm immune to psychic. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like there's as
Like
much there, does
there's
it?
not a lot going on there.
No.
Could you come up with a number of ways that your reasons why your army might ignore psychic abilities? Yes, but that's not having the ability to choose an army that plays a different way. You're not playing a different way. You just get to go. No, it doesn't work. Like that's not a. It's not a flavorful. It's not an engaging rule. Like it's not a. Oh, cool. My army can ignore stuff. Okay, it's not my army gets to move a little bit differently. My army gets to utilize a different aspect to the game, that kind of thing. Not to say I'm not saying it's bad per se, but it's less. I don't know. Less. Don't want to use the word flavorful because it feels almost wrong. Less engaging. Whereas in the militia, you choose one of 19 provinces, and then if you include one or more models with the planetary overlord trait, you get to include another one of 19 provinces. Like there's a whole host of different combinations you can have there. I think I also wonder if, and it's hard because sometimes people are reading this with a wealth of heresy knowledge, so they can go, oh, okay, industrial levy. Oh yeah, this will be like I could do the Necromunda, blah blah blah, blah, or the the Vostroyans, or the whatever you want to call it, and it can be an automatic link into a lore piece. Whereas with the demons, I think you have to work a little bit more in terms of you're not going to read up about a new demon thing. Like, yeah, are there demon engines? Yes. Are there corn? And yes, there are. But if you want something slightly outside of those, you have to make it yourself. Now, there's a load of freedom in that. You can be like, cool. I've got a brilliant idea for a demon army that's all skeletons. Like the way they manifest is of bone. Cool. Now I'll try and fit it into one of those 8 dominions. It almost feels the other way around.
Yeah,
Maybe.
That was a feeling I was getting. I'm not quite sure that's fair, but it's certainly something that was coming across, combined with the lack of kind of upgradability within the units themselves. Perhaps just that's where this feeling is coming from.
If you look at them both and you came to the rules to build your army, okay, I'm going to pick up militia. Right, what do their rules say? You can very quickly go, this province, I have the basis of a story of the way this army feels works because, I'm taking Alchem Jackers. Okay, cool, they're roided up, right, whatever. And I'm taking whatever it is. So, they're strong and they, ride around in transports. Cool. Sort of that gives you the cues to build your story around your force. Whereas, as I say, take Healer Slaughter because it's the prime example of that. I'm immune to psychology. I want to fight and I'm immune to psychology. Okay. Doesn't immediately tell immune to psychic power. Sorry, doesn't immediately tell you a story. It's something you can build a story round, but it's slightly less kind of unlocking things as it goes. In some ways, there's more freedom with that Heedless Slaughter because you can do anything with it. But that comes down to the player. So that's how it feels to me anyway.
Any standout units for you?
Well, so it will be interesting to see games played. I might have to dig the demons out for a game actually. the Sovereign with wings is 390 points base. You can upgrade your Sovereign Great Blade for 15. Movement 12, weapon skill 6, strength 7, toughness 6, initiative 5, 5 attacks, 9997 on the save stats. 3+ save is 4+ invulnerable. Eternal Warrior 1 only. It's not bad, but you know, it feels like maybe that could have been further up. Your bulky 8 with wings. He has the ability to do bad things to people, but also in this game, as soon as he gets out in the open, I'm not guessing he's going to last very long. So Sovereign Blade is initiative, attack strength as they are, AP 2, damage 2, phage strength, and reaping blow 1. And the Sovereign Great Blade is -2 initiative, attacks as they are, +3 strength, AP 2, damage 3. So what was this? Strength was 7, wasn't it? So you got to strength 10. And initiative is 5, so you'll be striking at initiative 2 with that. Eek. But strength 10 allows you to break open tanks. And with the speed to do it. So outside of some good psychic abilities, demons have struggled with armor 14. Your Sovereign Great Blade guy with wings might be what you're relying on to break a Spartan open. So, sometimes it's worth paying that cost even if you don't think it's that great, because it's the only tool that can do the job you want it to do. Yeah, the brutes look to be good, and these, as I say, these can be brought into regular armies to be summoned in or what have you.
Brutes in particular have the benefit of being tied to the esoterist.
Yes, exactly.
Which is it sort of opens up a whole bunch of options now for that character, which was looking, you weren't quite sure how they was going to roll, but now you've got this that sort of opens up that opportunity much more. Even if you didn't want to go as far as an allied list, you could go with the esoterist. Who, for those who, just to summarize, he unlocks, if you take him, possibly as a prime advantage, but it's certainly, you take him, he unlocks the ability to have a very specific force organization detachment, which is that of 3 demon brutes slots.
Yeah, they can be summoned in and what have you. What was it? 120 points for 3, movement 7, weapon skill 4, strength, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 4 attacks. And what weapons do they have? Immaterial armaments. So they always used to be pretty good at killing 3-up marines. Immaterial armaments down here somewhere. Initiative, attack, and strength the same. AP 3, damage 2, breaching 5+. So, yeah, they're going to go in and ream your tactical marines. And being toughness 5, they're going to absorb some hits back. Are they going to stand up against dedicated combat troops? Well, maybe not. But as I say, you might be able to go and bully all the opponents' attacks with them, tactical squads. They got impact attacks as well, and all demons cause fear 1 at least. So that's helping if you do win the fights. A 4-up save and a 5-up invulnerable. So weight of fire will bring them down, but the toughness 5 means bolters are struggling to do it quickly. So yeah, brutes have always been solid, and they're pretty solid. And again, it's that toughness 5 sometimes, which is the key there. Sometimes it can be just about holding up units, things like that. Swarms have got a little bit better, I think. So they're a support unit, but infiltrate 12 with 4 wounds, 6 up on the saves. Intelligence is 2, bless them. But sneaking onto an objective, and then desecrate is what? It's a willpower roll, isn't it?
Yeah.
Willpower check in line. Okay, so 0 to 1 is 1 line, 2 is 2 line, 3 or more is 3 line. Let's have a little look at him. What was their willpower? 6. Okay, but 1 in 10 chance of getting a line 2 or better unit early up the board, and there is an argument that scoring the points early can be a real advantage in this game.
We've got 20 points base and then 15 points base after that. You could get this up to be quite sizable,
Yeah, I mean they're
Quite a lot of
going to go
wings in there.
down. Yeah, toughness 3. Yeah,
Terrible.
eventually they're going to go down. The only, problem is you're going to lose combat by such an amount that it's going to hurt you when you do. That is the problem with that kind of thing. But yeah, they have a place, even if it's screening an army. It's screening your armies you run up as well. So that's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, they had the problem previously where they, like Flamers, did 2 wounds to them, things like that. So, if you fire a las cannon at a swarm, you're only doing 2 wounds to them. You're only half killing a base if they don't make their 6 up. So that's not bad for that kind of exchange, which is good. The
Great Demon. I was just flicking through it here. I do think that guide, that base size guide, it sounds pedantic, but I think that's really handy.
No. So this was in the first edition, was removed for second edition, caused all kinds of interesting discussions, and has been brought back. GW don't make Demons of the Runestorm models with the exception of Brutes. So do you bring the biggest, coolest models you've got? I have got a number of models on 100 or 130 mil round bases that I use for my first edition Demon army, which is super awesome. But in second edition, when there was no guide and people tended to go a lot smaller with their bases, it was a massive disadvantage to have a couple of guys, 3-4 guys with these huge 130 mil bases compared to someone bringing a 60 or an 80 mil for a sovereign or whatever it was. So I like this. It's a guideline. I think you should really be hitting the minimums at least on these, because it does play into the game as well. Like, there are, if you're a 130 mil base size and you can cover more of the board, you can block off more of the board. You can also be blocked off. It's not all one way or the other, but particularly when you get to things like lesser demons, if you can get 20 lesser demons and you change their base size from 25 mil to 32 mil, when you take into account the sorry, there's helicopters going over the house. If you take into account like the unit coherency, it's quite a big difference when you add on those extra inches, and you can protect, like, from a game playing point of view. And a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's like, yeah, most of the time it won't, but when you can deep strike in because you've got smaller bases than you should have, or say if you can zone off more of the board because you've got bigger bases than you should have, it can have a material impact on the game. I got the name guys in as well. I have a Carbander. He does need to be painted. That might be an option there. But
you get that assembled?
I got someone to assemble it for me.
Oh, you mentioned that someone was willing to do that. I mean, because that's a hell of a project. I mean, it
is a beast. I need to get it painted. Sadly, I bought the Mercia miniatures, like big, huge demon, as well at the same time, which is sat up there unpainted, and I have got another version of him. There are still demon models I might have to sell even with this, but hey, we'll see. we'll see. But yeah, Carbander coming in at bulky 12, Eternal Warrior 2, Fear 2, and being a primal terror. Yeah, you must make leadership checks when making a reaction triggered by or a charge targeting a model with this special rule. So if you want to shoot him when he charges you, you're having to test on that. If you want to charge him, you have to test on that. Bearing in mind you're going to be close to him, that fear comes into play. That's pretty cool. Weapon skill 8, strength 8, toughness 8, 8 wounds, 3 up save, 4 up invulnerable, leadership 12, cool 11, willpower 10. Cool 10, willpower 10, intelligence 6. He's a beast. He has 600 points. He should be a beast. But he only does damage 2 with his Bane Axe.
That seems a bonkers choice. Yeah.
I mean, critical hit on a 5 up, so a third of the time he's going to be doing damage 3, effectively. But, yeah, 8, was it? 8, 7 attacks, strength 8. Doing 2 damage is a lot, but he needs to do a lot, right? He's only got 4 turns to make those 600 points back.
It's true. I
You know,
suppose he is set up to
it's a
be a
sim-
sort of an infantry and probably more specifically an elite infantry killer. I'm guessing that's why.
He's also going to be challenged out
Mm.
by stuff as well. So there is that. He has got Champion of the Ruin Storm, which is a rule we haven't looked at.
I don't mind
Champion of-
him of all things being challenged out. I mean, that would make for those epic confrontations that the challenge mechanic is designed for.
Absolutely. So let me check that rule. Where is it? Champion of the Ruin Storm. Where's that rule? Going mad. There's a different champion route model up. Oh, that's the champion of the Dominion. What's the champion of the Ruin Storm rule then? Not done my homework properly. Shocking. Nope,
Not in
can't
the
see it.
demons one, no.
Yeah, there's nothing to say he can do anything crazy with challenges like Angon, used to be able to do. So, yeah, he's going to ruin whatever he challenges. But hey, it's all good fun. And callbacks and Samus. Samus being a lot less points. Callbacks being 350 points, which just feels like nothing.
Interesting that they brought him over. I mean, Carbander obviously plays a
Callbacks
named role in the Heresy.
Model.
Oh, yes, but exactly. It's interesting they brought him back because he has a model. Because they have those other. They are quite a bit older now, but they had those named demon princes of sorts, named demon princes that Forge World made models of. Those aren't in here, but these three are. Samus and Carbander makes perfect sense that they are significant players in the storyline. Callbacks, interesting that you put him in because, as you say, he has a model. He does appear in the Heresy, but I'm not.
Doesn't do
I
a
couldn't
lot.
recall where. He might be part of the siege.
No, he's very slow, which is, I assuming, why his rules are what they are. But 10 wounds with Eternal Warrior 2 and Feel No Pain 5 up seems pretty tough to get through. So slightly less destructive, but and yes, a lot slower. But yeah, I think we're looking at an army which is model-wise, hobby-wise, still a completely open book. Like you can still do whatever you want within this framework. But in terms of making your army unique or characterful within the rules itself, it is greatly reduced because those options have been taken away. Now, let's say, looking to the future, I do think there will be a redressing of that at some point. But I don't know. I think they will struggle. I think you're looking at, yes, they're quick. Leadership, their willpower is not amazing on the units. It's good. So brutes are 7, less demons are 7, swarms are 6, demon beast 6. Yeah, so the willpower's not great for then having to try and roll under that to get your line. Now you do gain, some of the models gain Vanguard, so whatever it's called. So you might be getting some of that, but if your dice run heavy on you, you might not be getting those line points that often. And they're going to go down. Demons are going to go down. I feel like with the adaptation of weapons in this edition as well, you are going to find it less common that someone's running big guns against you and they have the issue of, Thalax used to love that. A 10-man las cannon squad shooting at Thalax was just a joy of Thalax player because you were watching this huge destructive power just be nowhere near as effective as it should be. Yeah, those kind of moments are going to be reduced because cool, las cannon's still going to hurt you, but it's going to do 2 wounds. Cool, if they haven't moved. And actually, you know what? People are incentivized to bring other weapons. So if they do bring other stuff, heavy bolters were always a problem for small and medium Mechanicum and demons, actually, because Strength 5 was strong enough to get good rolls to wound, and AP4 was enough to get through armor. So you were just doing they were efficient in their job of wounding and breaking armor.
You could batter your way through.
So your 10-man las cannon squad, your Thalax used to laugh at. Your 5-man heavy battle squad would cause massive problems, which all feels wrong. But yeah, I don't know anything more about the demons. Any other questions?
Not really. I think that gives a good overview without going into too much detail on the individual units. Are you planning to? I mean, you've played them. You played your demons.
Second, yeah.
In the previous edition, yeah. Did this or the discussions around it incentivize you to say, yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing them again, and I'm intending to, or are you thinking, actually, this isn't quite doing it for me yet. I'll come back to them in due course.
I think I want to grab them out. I think I need to sit and look through it to try and work out an army. Because looking at a sovereign, if I go heedless slaughter, guess what? I'm not having any psychers. Okay, I don't have many shooting weapons. Right, how do I pull a Spartan? Okay, a sovereign. Well, the sovereign's going to be 300, 405 points to go and pop that Spartan. And then I think it's going to go down straight away because it's toughness 6 with a 3-up save and a 4-up invuln. So with 7 wounds, so 4 las cannon hits, wounds, kills it. That becomes 8 with the invulnerables, maybe 9 with the fact they need to roll 2s to wound. It's not, it's not hard to get 9 las cannon shots. A lot of armies will have 9 las cannon shots coming at you. It might be one squad.
It's not as if it's not as if they've not been popular and it's a new niche decision. They've been popular for a long time.
Yeah.
People will have them.
Absolutely.
And you will see
so the approach to the army is going to have to be different with that. You have to pick up the slack elsewhere. But again, it's a 4-turn game. Will the resiliency mean that actually it can be quite difficult for the opponent because you could just, rush up the board? You're not using reactions to shoot back, so maybe you're utilizing your reactions to move, or something like that instead. So you're making it a bit more interesting that way. I'm not sure. It's a real quandary, I think.
It's left you feeling
Yeah,
mixed, I suppose, by the sound
and
of it.
again, that's all tied into my feelings around the game at the moment. I think the missions are an effect of that. I know you talked. Was it you talked about Rob and the Ice Wargamer talking about the missions, or was it someone else?
No, that was me. That was me when we were chatting about it, where he said that that's something he's very keen to create a pack for. He feels like the edition's in a great place, getting loads of things. He was one of the biggest supporters of all these PDFs. But he did say that the missions were severely lacking, and he was looking forward to writing his own. And you mentioned then that you've heard a lot of people say something
So
similar.
yeah, around that, like all these things have got to be judged. You know, I've got to judge my reaction on the fact that I'm unsure on the way other stuff's going as well. Maybe it'd be interesting to get my hands on the narrative missions from this next book. It's coming out. I still need to pre-order it actually.
Yeah.
But that might change the way I'm thinking about the army and what it can do. But also just to, I say, just to see how much stuff you can fit in, because if you can get across the board with the right things, you know, you could be difficult to shift quickly, which in itself can be enough. You know,
I quite like as a design philosophy for demons as well. I feel like the design of the rules has worked broadly quite well.
excuse me. Yeah. Within the context of third edition armies, it feels fine. Like, you know, I'm not expecting them to drop a PDF for who we got next. There's another one to come, isn't there? Is there? Or am I going mad? Oh no, Black Shields. Black Shields coming. Do I
Of
expect Black
course,
Shields,
yeah.
or you know, if they do Shattered Legions, do I expect Shattered Legions to be with a tenth of the complexity? Complexity, the right word? Of the previous edition Shattered Legions? No. Like, you know, it's going to be stripped right back. So that's your base judgment level. Within that, fine, cool. Do I want more? Yeah, I do actually. But I think that's quite a common feeling. As I say, I think going forwards we might get more. But let's get, you know, they've done pretty well to what we, when the edition come out in July, and we're just going into October, and we've had, you know, 3 or 4 extra army lists come out as full PDFs. You know, the inductize come out, that kind of thing. It's a decent amount of info. They've made an effort to get everything up and ready and running going forwards. So we've got that base kind of fairly well set in. Like this is where we're going from.
Can't be a million miles away from them showing what they were going to do with Custodes.
No, you wouldn't have thought so. In terms of,
Given what they were with those preview shows back when Satellite was announced.
Looks like that's all changed a little bit now. We've got, I mean, yeah, probably should have mentioned this at the start of the show, but we look at Nova not having the reveal show, and then, you know, a handful of days later, Blood Bowl 3 gets Blood Bowl New Edition, whatever it's going to be called, Season 3 gets revealed on a Tuesday or whenever it was, Monday, Tuesday. I think they might be moving that way. I think you could get any kind of announcement at any time now, and then in a way that's kind of cool. That helps fight the leakers potentially a little bit. So we look at October. We're basically into October. So anything that's announced first weekend of October doesn't get released till end of October. Then you're into November, and then you're into Christmas. And Christmas has changed a little bit, but you're not going to get, you know, the Christmas kind of things aren't new armies, aren't huge amounts of stuff. So whether we get anything kind of this period of time, you would think that they're going to show off that custody at some point soon, wouldn't you?
You'd think, wouldn't you, or whatever that's going to end up being.
It must be fairly soon. But what we got now? We've got a lot of infantry out. There's obviously the other big tanks to come in plastic as well.
Which I think the Falchion is going to be a long way away. I think the Glaive could be sooner rather than later. Then.
Yeah. Who knows? It's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I say, even with all this, when they release a new, show off a new model, it's like, cool, it's a new Heresy model. Let's see what it is. Let's have a little look at it. There's lots to be played with there. And I still, I like the idea of this. I think demons are gonna. We go back to the issues we've talked about with terrain and things like that. If you can draw line of sight everywhere, demons are going to struggle. Maybe potentially, if you put too much line of sight blocking everywhere, then demons are going to really shine. Potentially, don't know. But I think they need places to hide, because you could easily get some less demons caught out in the open and they will just disintegrate. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. I think it's good that they have a play style like that you have to lean into and really commit to get the most out of them. That feels like perfectly good design.
Yeah, you want them to be different. They're not everyone's cup of tea, but the scope to really create, like, one of the common kind of negatives for people who say they don't want to get into the game is it's Marines. All it is Marines. It's like, well, you've got a militia army list here, which you can do. You can just go hog wild with whatever weapon, whatever miniatures you like. You've got Mechanicum, who you can play around with. You've got Custodes, which provides a different line. Sort of. It's not too dissimilar from Astartes, really, but is. And then you've got demons, and if you want to go and buy loads of expanding foam and then shave it down and add bits onto it, you know what? You can make a demon army out of that. It could look good. Can't remember his name on Instagram now. Toby used to be at the Hate Club. He's got some crazy cool models. The guy who does all the demonic knights, titans for Titanicus.
Oh, what, the really extreme ones?
Yeah. Goes crazy with his demons. I saw
happy use of a glue gun. Yeah, there's some superb.
Someone turned up at one of my Cardiff events with a Malau demon army, but it was so different. It was just like mouths and things like that, and sharp teeth, and you can delve into that eldritch horror aspect of it, and it all kind of works. So much you can do on a hobby side. The army list may be a little bit restrictive, but they also don't have a model line, so maybe that changes one day.
Yeah.
If they start going, you know what, let's produce some generic 30k demons that aren't Khorne.
Ruinstorm demons,
proper Ruinstorm demon list. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but
I think more likely we're going to see it have variety added through the codifying of which demons are being represented, which gods are being represented. So I think we'll see the 40k demon ranges, or say 40k old world, etc. will start to infiltrate into this. The Journal Tacticas are ideal for that, really, where they could focus on a Khorne one, or a Khorne and Slanesh one, and a Nurgle Tzeentch one. I think they could to run with that. I think that's more likely than seeing them lean into the identity of. As much as I would love it to be the case, because I've been looking around at different model ranges and similar that could really encapsulate what I think of as demons, that real otherworldly, creepy horror film thing of it, rather than some of the other interpretations of a chaos demon. I think, there's some things for that, but I just don't see GW necessarily capitalizing on that, not yet, anyway.
They got a lot to do. They got a lot of options.
Yeah.
One of the creepiest, coolest ones I ever saw was the plastic horrors, but with their eyes from their beak up past their eyes was smoothed over, was filled in and smoothed over.
Oh yeah. There's some good ones like that, and then painted in
Yeah,
flesh
it's
colours.
just
Yeah. I know the ones you
so
mean.
creepy and weird. But yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
can go that way. You can go, you can go leaning to the demonic engine aspect of it as well, and maybe use some Necron bits and things like that. And yeah, so much you can do from a hobby standpoint. And you can have your lesser demons and you can have your beasts and whatever as being fairly standard, but you could then go crazy with your sovereigns and your archdemon or whatever it is, your greater demon behemoth. You could pick out
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 models to take that extra stage to really play around with it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Kind of excited to see what people do with it now. Really want to see what different armies are out there. Let's say it does seem to attract the more ambitious modeler.
It's like an open invitation for people who really do model or paint, a slightly different style. I do wonder how this edition is going to end up with utilising allies. I've already heard people talking about utilising allies to open up certain detachments, like to gain 1 or 2 rules. But a little allied detachment of demons could be narratively really cool for some traitor forces, or whether it adds enough in the game, who knows? Anyway, I've waffled.
I think we've covered them. Well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let us know. Like, if you play demons, you play against them. Let us know what 3rd edition demons are like. Whether you've got ideas on how you would run yours or how you would model yours as well. Feedback. We've had the odd message and email and what have you recently. It's good to get and go through, I think. But I'll tell you what, I'll try and get a game together at some point. Whether it'll be this month or not, I don't know. Seeing whether the other Heresy people are free and see how they can do, and if I'm right or wrong about those demon sovereigns being quite squishy. We'll have to see. All right. No worries.
Good stuff.
Let's leave that there. And yeah. Cheers, Howard.
Speak soon.
Congratulations, you've made it to the end of another episode of the Imperial Truth Podcast, episode 199. So yeah, next one is the big 200. Obviously not the actual 200th episode we've put out, but we'll go with the big round numbers on this one. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to let us know. You can go to Facebook and search for the Imperial Truth. You can go to Imperial_Truth on Twitter. You can go to @ChildofFang on Blue Sky, Twitter and Instagram. You can email Greg at theimperialtruth.com. And that goes for if you've got something nice to say, if you've got some constructive criticism, if you've got some ideas for some topics, if you've got some questions to be asked. Maybe we should do a questions thing for episode 200. I'm going to throw it out there. If you have some questions, throw them at us. If we get enough, we'll do them on next episode. So that'll be cool. I have got a couple of other things we're looking at for doing for the episode as well, but why not throw it out there for that? Be a little bit self-indulgent on that front, I think, which is perfectly acceptable in my opinion. You can tell, might be able to tell my voice is starting to go, so fingers crossed I'll be over whatever I've got ready for next recording.
This is happening a little bit after Howard and I recorded, because life and nephews turning up and having to stay the night and things like that, all those wonderful things that get in the way of us hobbying. But as I say, if you enjoy the show, you can let us know. You can support us by purchasing goods through our link at Element Games. You can visit our Patreon, and you can give us 99 cents, 99 pence, or whatever it is, for per show. Or you can join for free if you want, or you can give us as much as you feel like as a tip, just to say thank you, which some people do, and not everyone needs to do. That's understandable. But all these links are in the show notes, so if you don't know where to look for that, they're all in the show notes as usual. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to email someone about coming on next show, or certainly soon. Got a few things to organise with that. But apart from that, I'm not sure. It's there's lots more events happening, which is good. So seeing a lot of feedback from different people's events, getting a bit of a kind of scope for what's going on in the Heresy. And we have some exciting new stuff. We will have missed the news, and by the time we get around to recording next show, the next novel will be out, the Scouring series. So no, it's going to be interesting to read up and see what they've got going on with that. I'm looking forward to that one. Anyway, I think I'm probably waffling. So until next time, you have been listening to The Imperial Truth.